Hello once again and welcome back to another episode of Father and Sundays, the unexplainable guide to absolutely nothing. This week we're on episode 34.
34?
I know, we are speaking to you from the past today, as we are also talking about time travel.
From the past?
Yeah, from the past. Anyway, stick around if you want to hear more. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright. Yeah, still a bit achy. Still a bit, yeah.
Why are you aching?
Because I run the marathon on Sunday.
Did.
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
No.
Alright.
No, it was, after a few days afterwards, I can actually say, yeah, great, I did it and all the rest of it. But at the time, it was a little bit of a difficult one, must say. It didn't go quite according to plan.
Did it not?
It didn't.
No.
But I did record a couple of audios while I was there. I think I recorded one.
No, you didn't. We're going to time travel.
Oh, are we?
Yep.
Okay. We're going to try. Oh, we're going to time travel back to before the race.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Let's do it then.
Let's do that now.
Well, here we are at the Brighton Marathon. It's the 10k that's going to go off any second now, I think. Current feeling, absolutely bricking it. Don't feel ready. Feel I've heard some horror stories on the way in about hills and industrial estates and that. Will I do it? Yes, I'll do it. What time will I do it in? No idea. Current mood, may have said that already, very nervous. Current mood is that determined but concerned. I will see what happens. It's going to be a breeze, isn't it? It's got to be a breeze.
Whoa. How did we manage that?
I don't know. God, me from the past sounds really, really worried, really, really nervous.
I don't think he mentioned that.
No, didn't he?
No.
No, where's all the confidence gone? Oh dear.
Oh.
Doesn't sound good, does it?
Doesn't sound good. How did it end up?
Well, I suppose we're going to have to go back and then go forward a little bit.
Well,
if
we go back into the past, but not quite as far.
Okay.
I'll press the play
meant.
button a little bit sooner this time.
Okay, go for it.
So it's been a few hours since I've finished. I wasn't in any fit state when I finished today to talk about it. Had to lay on the beach for a little while just to recover. It was brutal. It was really hilly. I questioned 100 times as I was running it why I was running it. But, when you finish and you've done it and, it might not be the time you wanted and all the rest of it, but it's got to be good. So pluses, nice medal, something to sort of remember. Loads of cheering crowds, really fantastic. Minuses, being overtaken by the Bananas in Pyjamas twice. And also seeing the Rastafarian banana and I'm not hallucinating, as I run up the finishing stretch, and it looks like he's pipped me to the finish again, just like the London Landmarks half marathon. Yeah, great tough. Done. Don't have to think about it for a while. I love running.
Incredible stuff. But what does great tough mean?
I don't know. I think perhaps because of my exhaustion, I'd missed an S off it.
Yeah. I reckon so. Also, so it was 26.2 miles, yeah?
It was supposed to be 26.2 miles.
What happened?
But I did think every time I looked at my watch said you've reached certain miles, there wasn't a marker until a bit later, and it turns out afterwards that Brighton Marathon have announced that the course was 563 metres longer than it should have been, which is quite significant for the serious runners, but like it's just bizarre. It could only happen to me, and again,
and all those other people running that marathon.
yeah, exactly, and all the other whatever thousands and thousands of people. No,
Didn't matter though,
it
did
was
they?
no, it didn't. But it was. I think I would use the word brutal. It was really, really difficult, really, really hot. I didn't have a very good day, but I did finish it, and
On the bright side, the longest run you've ever done as
saw
well.
a lot of bananas.
Yep.
Yeah, I did see. Now I'm not sure if you're familiar with the bananas in pajamas.
Oh,
song.
I am familiar.
What? And what do they do?
They run down the stairs.
And who do they chase?
Teddy bears.
Well, I saw a teddy bear slumped up against a wall towards the end, and this was a little while after the bananas in pajamas had gone past me. So I can't help thinking that they caught up with the teddy bear and give him a good kicking by the look of it. Yeah. So that was obviously what they were trying to do all along.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. But yes, no, I will do another one.
Will you do that one?
Probably not.
We've spoken about it in as well outside the podcast, and you've said how the crowd there was one of the best you've
The
ever.
crowd was I think the crowd was by far the best that I've ever run. I mean, it was just honestly, I'm all right now, but when I've been talking about the crowd afterwards and from a couple of days, I was getting choked up again. They were incredible.
Yeah.
Which makes it worthwhile doing these things. So supportive. Loved my shorts. They kept telling me how much they loved my
rainbow
shorts.
shorts.
Rainbow shorts, yeah. But yeah, I mean, great support. Great support from your mum down there as well.
It sounds like you're trying to insult me now.
No.
Great support from your mum.
Your mum and your mum.
Yes,
No.
what I said to your mum last night. Well, yeah.
But very hilly, very hot, very long, and too long. And yes, I need to recover a bit. But not for long, because I've got another race on Sunday.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Maybe you can time travel and give yourself a bit of extra time. Because let's actually get onto the topic of the podcast.
Right, time travel.
Time travel.
Yeah.
Do you know what time travel is, Dad?
Well, I looked it up, Connor.
Did you?
I did. And
Where did you look it up?
I looked it up in my big book of time travel, right? Which
Or
I lost the
Google.
run of, but found it again.
All right.
Time travel is the concept.
Ooh.
Oh, hello.
Sorry. There was a dinging.
What was that? Time
have
travel
no
is the
idea.
concept of movement between certain points in time, comparable to movement between different points in space by an object or a person.
Yeah.
Discuss.
So, I think a really good way of explaining that is if you travel from one place to another, you could, when you talk about space, it essentially means from any, not necessarily in space, but anywhere from one point to another. You can travel from, I could travel from my bed to the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm travelling through, well, I'm also travelling through time, but if you're just measuring it in distance, I'm travelling through space. Now, a really good model to help get your head around the fact of because it's difficult to comprehend travelling through time, isn't it?
Well,
In the same kind of way as you travel through space.
I guess so, although you're always travelling through time.
You are always travelling through time, but if I said to you, can you go forwards in time faster than normal?
Yeah.
You'd probably go no. If I said, can you go backwards in time? You'd probably say no.
No.
Yeah. Well, would you say no?
I would say no, because you can't.
Well, this is what we believe because it's what we perceive.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So if I said to you about Pac-Man, now Pac-Man lives in a 2D world. He can move left, right, and then up and forward
down.
and backwards.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on what orientation, but forwards and backwards from his perspective. He lives in a 2D world.
Right.
If someone said to him, you can go up and down, he'd be like, no, I can't do that. It's a very similar thing because it's known as the fourth dimension. They move in 2D space, two-dimensional space. We very much perceive three-dimensional space, and we only really know of moving forwards, backwards, left, right, up and down.
Right.
But it's difficult to perceive things moving in a fourth dimension, which would be time. As in, this is a different axis going on for a different angle.
Okay.
It's actually believed there'll be, I think it's 7 dimensions rather than just... Because we even find it hard to perceive the fourth dimension, which is time, but we can see time, essentially. We experience time, but we don't experience those 5, 6, 7, the 7th dimension.
And do we know what the 5th, 6th and 7th dimensions are?
not necessarily know. It's more of theorized, but I'm not too familiar with it. I'm more familiar with time travel than I am with the others.
Oh, okay then, Marty McFly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, let's face it. I've just used the words Marty McFly. Obviously, in fiction, which it's seen as fiction, it's seen as something that's not possible from a perspective of the normal person. We only ever see it in fantasy, like we read it in books, like The Time Machine. H.G. Wells is The Time Machine. We see it in films all the time now. You know, it's something quite clearly that people would like to be able to do, for whatever reason, like to be able to do it.
I think it's because it's one of those things that it's there's many things that you'd go, that's completely beyond the realms of possibility. There's something about time travel which isn't completely beyond the realms of possibility. There's
Right.
something about that isn't completely beyond that. Now, that's not to say that, because going backwards in time is very different to going forwards. We
Right.
always travel forwards in time. It's almost seen as like a one-directional road. It's a one-way road. You can only go up it. Occasionally, you might get someone going backwards. Could happen, but
What?
but it's a one-way street.
I can tell I'm going to have a headache by the end of this.
It's a one-way street. You can only really go one way.
Mm-hmm.
But if you consider time travel as not necessarily always thinking about going backwards, there are definitely ways in which we could manipulate things to allow us to go forward in time faster.
Right.
One, actually, there's many different theories of time travel, which I can go into a couple of those because I did do a lot of research on this when I was younger.
Wow.
Can you tell?
When you were younger?
Yeah.
Oh,
when I
right.
was younger.
Not for this.
When I was about 17,
Okay.
16, 17, I did
Go
quite
on
a lot of
then.
research.
I mean, no, it's an interesting phenomena. So
One thing I've actually spoken about in a previous podcast when it comes to space, and you've not watched the film Interstellar, but it's something that if someone has watched the film Interstellar, they'll be very familiar with,
Right.
in the fact that time travels differently in different locations.
right. Okay.
Time moves differently, sorry. So you could be on a planet with a different gravitational pull,
Right.
which due to different mass, which means that it adjusts how time moves. Because if you think about gravity is essentially acceleration, is a force acceleration.
Right.
Yeah. So if you do F equals ma, which is force equals mass times acceleration. If you change the acceleration and the mass, and I've actually used the wrong equation there, but you can manipulate all these different equations to get a different time.
So I understand that on a different planet.
I
right.
very much fudged that up there.
Did you?
Yeah, that explanation.
Oh,
It's been a long time since I
Don't worry
looked
about
at it.
it. But on different planets, I'm aware that on different planets you've got the cycle of the day is different.
Yeah.
So are you talking about that? Are you talking about
So-
how measurement of a particular thing?
No,
what is-
so if, for example, if I was on Jupiter,
yeah,
I don't actually know how this compares. If I went to Jupiter and you stayed on Earth,
yeah,
if we were then to meet up again, I would have aged differently to how you've aged. Time would have moved either at a slower pace or a faster pace for one or the other of us.
right, okay.
So it's something that potentially, if we were in a different location, it could be that I'd overtake you in age,
right, okay.
but you'd still
And
experience.
is that actual fact? That's
So it's
or is it still? I suppose they can't check it because there's no
it's
way
not
of
really
checking it.
a
At
way
the
of
moment.
checking it, but that's is I think it's pretty much
An
ma-
established theory of
yeah,
how
a mass
it would work.
a mass of a planet can change how gravity pulls, which can dilate time. And there's also a similar thing that if you were to so at the moment we travel through space in one direction, and that's what makes it beautiful. If
That's what makes it beautiful. Isn't that a
Yeah.
One Direction song?
that's why I said it.
Oh, well done.
Thanks. I kind of lost what I was going to say there. It's like about bending space. The idea is the potential of being able to bend space, which isn't necessarily time travel, but allows you to jump through space a bit faster.
Right.
Which is manipulating how time would move. Wormholes, another big one. No one
that's
really knows
something I did
how
read.
a wormhole
No,
works.
but someone and a black hole. So I did read some stuff about that time travels differently around
Yeah,
the black
so
hole.
Time essentially is actually quite interesting. As you go towards a black hole, if I was to walk towards a black hole, I can't remember the distances, but at one point I would go through something called spaghettification, where it
Excellent.
looks like I
like
just
Italians.
stretch into one kind of thing, and then as you get that bit closer, essentially it would appear from an observer that time has frozen, like you'd be frozen in a position.
Oh, right, okay.
Now that's more to do with light, in the fact that a black hole is a black hole because it's such a strong gravitational pull it doesn't even let light out of it, and it's got to a point where that light is it's trying to move away, but it can't. It's almost stuck in that position. Is the way it could be considered. It's like if you got a magnet and another magnet, and you held like a metal ball between the two of them, and it couldn't go to either. It kind of stuck.
So why do you think people have got this fascination with it? I mean, because it is something that most people, apart from your mother, who
I just
finds
clarify,
it
I'm not an
incredibly...
expert. A lot of what I'm saying might not.
You could be saying anything, really.
I could be saying anything, yeah.
You know, most
Did you know
people...
platypuses can travel through time?
Is this something to do with... who's those cartoon people with the platypus?
Oh, Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, was it something to do with them?
No, I'm just saying it. I'm just saying anything to see if you believe it.
Oh, right, okay, right. No, I didn't believe you.
Oh, right,
So,
okay.
come on. Why are people so fascinated with it?
It's because it's what you perceive as impossible. It's what people would perceive as impossible.
Kim Impossible.
Yeah, Kim Possible. It's all the Disney shows we go for. So, if someone doesn't understand something, then you know what? It's similar to when we talk about religion or ghosts or something like that. There's an interest in it because it's hard to understand. It's difficult to understand, and there's a want to believe in it as well. So there's a want to go, I would like to.
I can certainly understand that people would. People want to. I mean, people talk about going back to, or even if you look at the. I notice I'm not actually finishing any sentences at the moment.
It's all right. We can travel back and finish them.
And edit. People talk about going back to certain events. You know, witnessing certain events, or going into the future and seeing what would happen. And I guess people get some sort of comfort from that, or some sort of joy from that.
Mm.
Fact check.
In the Loch Ness Monster episode, I said that the famous surgeon's Loch Ness photo is the first picture you'll see on any site. Obviously, I meant any Loch Ness sites, as you're unlikely to see it if you're searching for cheese or shoes.
Fact check.
So we've spoken a little bit about a couple of different ideas of how time travel could work. Now, there's been a lot of ideas that other people have had, not necessarily always plausible ideas.
Yeah.
Although it's difficult to say plausible ideas when it comes to time travel.
Well, I know, yeah.
But
there's levels of plausibility.
But there's... sorry, I've lost my train of thought there. But there's been a lot of science fiction and such things that have gone down this route of giving us different ideas of time travel and stuff like that. I mean, if you could list me some, because I know you like lists.
Well, I mentioned the time machine, H.G. Wells' time machine.
You did mention the time machine.
I mean, obviously...
The thing with the time machine, I've never seen it, but it doesn't move, does it?
it stays in exactly the
It's
same
only
position.
it's a time machine,
It's
isn't it?
like an armchair.
It's a time machine.
Yeah, with
It's
a big
not
bubble around
a time
the
and
person
space
in
machine.
it. No, and basically you fiddle with some knobs, and then everything around you changes. So obviously in the book but in the film adaptation, the early one, there's been a remake, but the early one, he saw the way it was depicted. He could see from that seat through the window. He could see a shop, a clothes shop, and he saw the fashions changing. And I suppose that was just their way of showing you. But I think one of the things that
Was it down to moving the machine around would mean you'd see different places?
no, it was from his seat. So he basically was in one place.
He couldn't move the machine.
You could move it as in pick it up and push it somewhere, because it actually got moved and he had to go and find it. But I mean,
Because obviously, sorry, just to distract from that, just to go off of that, because if I was time traveling, but I never moved my time machine, and it only meant I could see through a window at one particular point,
yeah,
I'd be pretty bored of seeing the same shop over and over again.
yeah, no, absolutely. But that will change. And once he was in a particular place, he could get out of the time machine and walk around and go.
Oh, that
to
changes
wherever.
it then.
But I mean, in that particular one, you had the Eloi and the Morlocks. So basically, a society lived above, an idyllic society that lived above ground, and the Morlocks that lived below ground, which were the same people at one stage, but one moved underground and was sort of almost turned into
Mole men.
savages. Yeah, but that's quite a trend in these things about this sort of nightmare. So people going into the future and seeing this dystopian nightmare. You look at things like Planet of the Apes. He doesn't know.
That's kind of time travel.
That is time travel, because he doesn't know that the planet that when the spaceship, whatever happened, it might have been a black hole or something like that. I don't know that they ever particularly explain it. But he thinks he's landed on another planet, but he's landed back on Earth. But he's landed on Earth in the future, and that's why you've got that absolutely one of the best scenes in a film ever, when Charlton Heston is riding the horse along the beach, suddenly stops and you can't see what he's seeing, but he gets off his horse and then he drops to his knees and starts shouting because he can see the Statue of Liberty sticking out of the sand. He realises that this is Earth and the apes have taken over.
Is there another version where he does travel back, or is it the same one where he travels back and then he's arrested by a load of gorillas?
Yeah,
in
that's
like
the sort
in
of...
the Washington Monument or something.
Yeah, it was a sort of... I think that was a Tim Burton version. But then there's been loads of these films. But
the new ones were quite good. I enjoyed those.
The new ones were brilliant.
But that's
but
not
you've
really
got
time
that sort of
travel,
thing, and Terminator.
Never seen that either.
Well, Terminator is that just... you keep seeing these pictures of when the machines took over. So you've got Terminators coming back in time to kill people that make a difference in the future, and it gets incredibly complicated. And then they send other Terminators back, or other people to protect the people, and another Terminator to kill the Terminator, and it just rolls on and on and on.
Yeah, this
keeps
is one of
on
the things.
Schwarzenegger in trousers, so he can afford trousers.
He doesn't always turn up in trousers, though, does he?
He doesn't.
No. See, that's the big thing as well with when it comes to time travel in both science fiction and real life. It's not determined whether, if someone was to travel back in time, whether it would have an effect on reality in the future, or whether it create another time stream or something like that. Does time travel? The whole dependent on time travel is there one time stream, or can we move between others?
Well, that's what's bizarre about it. And if you watch, again, another one of our favourites, Doctor Who, which is absolutely that, travelling forward, backward, sideward in time, right? And one of the rules, and this is what's bizarre about it, within these...
How do you move sideways in time?
I don't know, I just said that anyway. But one of the things that I always say, you can't change things. If you do this, it's a cause and effect, right? So you often hear in Doctor Who the Doctor saying, I can't be involved because if I do that, that wasn't supposed to happen. And if you look at one of the most famous time travel movies, Back to the Future, that is exactly that. That he, even the slightest little tweak, even the slightest little thing that you either do deliberately or unintentionally, can alter everything that goes
Yeah.
from there.
I mean, see, that's the thing. Back to the Future does that quite well to a certain extent, of basically saying what happens here is going to change the future. I will say with Doctor Who, they seem to go against their own rule an awful lot of not changing the future by changing the past. And for someone that essentially would have been around and can travel through time and essentially should know all of history and all of the future, they don't have whoever the Doctor is this time, whatever gender they are, doesn't really seem to have a clue what's about to happen.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah, that's very true.
You would think they would know that, oh yeah, the Sontarans come at this particular point in time and the Daleks come at this particular point in time.
But then, like I've said to you before, you know, you take those
Maybe
two,
it's different time streams.
you take those two words, cause, effect, right? And we've discussed this before on a previous episode.
Which one?
I've got another two words for you. Baby Hitler, right? Now, we had a discussion on the superheroes one where you said because you were going to be some sort of superhero in time.
You could manipulate time. Yeah.
And you said you could go in there and save a child that would have died because you could manipulate time. And I said at the time to you, what if that child, in the scheme of things, and this is going to sound very sinister now, was supposed to die? Say it was, I said, baby Hitler, and you'd gone in there and you saved Hitler, and I know Hitler was alive and all that, but you could alter something that meant, you know, something would happen on the back of that, and as I say, cause and effect, it would roll and roll and
Similarly,
roll. You could change
it could have been the next baby Einstein. Also,
but then again,
can I just point out in the same
it.
episode you said you wanted to talk to animals, and you could have the next fish Hitler as a.
I sent you a picture of Fish Hitler, didn't I?
Fishler?
Yeah. I sent you a picture because I found a fish that had looked like Hitler.
Oh, was it a goldfish? I seem to remember it now.
Goldfish, yeah, with a little Hitler moustache. Fantastic. I love Google.
Maybe Charlie Chaplin.
I love the internet. Yeah, but anyway, look. So
he ruined things for Charlie Chaplin, didn't he?
What? Goldfish Hitler?
No, Hitler with his little moustache.
He did, really, yeah.
He ruined the look.
He ruined the look. Yeah, so, I mean...
it's happened again.
Yeah, I know. That's you trying to send a message through. Like,
I'm getting an email.
So, you know, there is... I get it. I get the emotional pull of it. I get the... Oh, what are you doing over there?
I'm not doing anything. I just pressed close on something and I keep getting loads of YouTube notifications.
It does get very, very complicated. I mean, you could even say in literature things like...
Back to the Future is one of the best films.
Oh, Back to the Future is a brilliant film anyway. Funny.
And Jurassic Park.
Yeah, but that's not time travel,
Well,
is
it
it?
kind of is, actually.
What, because they're not dinosaurs, are they? If they were dinosaurs, it would be time travel. But they're not dinosaurs.
This is slightly unrelated.
This is the whole point, Connor. Please listen. I've said this to you before. They're not dinosaurs. They're artificially created beings. They are not dinosaurs. Beans. Yeah.
Gonna just slightly off topic. Just only because it's recent news and stuff like that. Well, I say recent news. I've been talking about it for years. They're saying about scientists are saying they feel like they should be able to bring back the woolly mammoth from extinction within the next six years.
Why?
To bring it back.
And would it be an actual woolly mammoth?
What it sounds like they're saying about making a winter-suited elephant that will look and behave like a woolly mammoth.
But that's not a woolly mammoth then, is it?
Well, or is it?
Well, it isn't.
Or is it? I think the intention being is you could essentially get a woolly mammoth clone as with an elephant as its surrogate. Then is it an elephant or is it a woolly mammoth?
What, as a surrogate? A surrogate wouldn't have much of an effect on the actual, because that's
they are one.
nurture.
They are one
rather than nature. If it was actually born from a normal elephant.
If someone becomes their birth mother,
Right, so you're talking about implanting into an elephant.
yeah.
Is this... Hang on,
I don't know if this is how they're going to do it, but they're saying about they could bring back the woolly mammoth from extinction.
See, that
if I'm honest, I know it's one of these things that Jurassic Park tells you that's a really bad idea, but elephants are my favourite animals, and I've always thought to myself, I really want to see a woolly mammoth. So if they did that, I think I'd be a little bit of on the fence of how great this is versus how bad this
wrong it is
could
to
be.
interfere with nature.
I mean, to a certain extent, bringing back something from extinction, this is kind of time travel related, bringing back something from extinction. Oh, they used to have a TV show about the dinosaurs where you used to go back in time and take dinosaurs and put them in the zoo. See, we've linked it in. And anyway, bringing back from something from extinction that essentially we may have caused it to go extinct, I think is very different to bringing something back from extinction. Like if someone brought back a dodo for extinction, would that be better or worse than bringing back a woolly mammoth? Because we didn't cause, or did we cause a woolly mammoth? Well, we didn't really, because it was just more to do with the Ice Age ending and the climate changing. Yeah. I mean, we did hunt them.
We hunted them, but I think they would have survived. Yeah, I think it was to do with climate change.
Yeah.
And I don't think we had a lot. There wasn't people using aerosols and things like that. So, unlikely. Obviously, we did wipe out the dodo by introducing other things, not necessarily hunting, and we did hunt them, but by introducing something, in the end there was sort of rats and that weren't on these islands originally. So I don't know. It's I think the danger is that if you're talking about creating life, so a woolly mammoth, you've got every component you need to create a woolly mammoth. Okay, still questions to be asked, but that's it. But if you are substituting something, and the whole fact you're doing it artificially, we have this want to bring back stuff. We want to look into the future. We want to go back to the past and bring things back to where we are in the present, which ties in with this. But should we? I love these films. The thought of dinosaurs, the thought of this sort of stuff, incredible. But it is still such shaky ground, isn't it? It's just.
How about animatronic ones?
Well, animatronic ones are fine, aren't they? Because they've got nothing to do with anything, have they?
I heard about them potentially making animatronic zoos where all the animals are actual animatronics.
Might as well go to Disney.
Well,
go on a Jungle Cruise.
It's one of these things that's, as rather than having some of these animals in a zoo where they're not necessarily in the best
I understand
place.
if you're trying to educate people and you're far more likely to be able to educate someone if they can actually look at something, even if that is animatronics, and they can understand how clever that is. They'll probably still learn if you're telling them about them and they can actually see a physical thing moving. But who knows? Maybe
time travel's the answer. Maybe time travel means we can go back and look at it rather than bring it back from the dead.
Maybe it is.
Oh, I wish there was an easier way of picking up my pad.
Just watch this space.
Don't you think it's time they sold a gadget that could help you hold? Stop dropping things to the floor as soon as it comes through your door. Get a handle on it. Just get a handle on it. Bananas, babies, lumps of cheese, carry around with so much ease. Plastic bags are a thing of the past, the only handle you can trust. Get a handle on it. Just get a handle on it. It's a thing that you've been lacking. £9 for post and packing. You can buy it in 6 colours, one for you and one for your mother. Get a handle on it. Available from Father and Sunday's Enterprise. Get it now while stocks last. Stop living in the past. Get a handle on it. Just get a handle on it.
game time.
It's game time now.
It is game time.
Yes.
Do you know what else it's time for?
A game?
Yeah. And do you know what happens when we have a game?
We play it.
Yeah. Do you know what we have to put in front of the game when we play a game?
Instructions of how the game works.
Well, kind of. Hit the sting.
All right.
Here's your time machine, it travels really fast. Will you travel to the future or go back into the past? It's got cup holders, it lights up in the dark. It's got leather seats, I hide it in some bushes in the park. When will you go?
It's a good sting.
Yeah, good sting. Right, so we're talking about time travel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a million things you could do with it, but I thought what would be quite good today is for us to discuss perhaps some of the places or some of the times we'd go to and why.
Yep.
Okay, so have you got anything for us? Have you thought of anything that you want to do?
Well, I've got one so
Okay.
far.
One so far? You are having a laugh.
Nope.
Oh my God.
Right, I've got one so far.
Yeah,
Ready?
okay.
So, if I could go anywhere, anytime,
Right,
yeah, future, past, wherever I want.
yeah.
One of the first places I'm going,
Yeah.
so I'm not just going to one. I don't think we're restricted to just one place, are we?
No, I did say,
Three.
you know, prior to this actual recording, think of about 3 of them.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think of any.
Okay.
But what I would do
Yeah.
is I would go back, all the way back, really long time, back
Yeah.
to the year 1997.
Oh,
And I would go back into the year 1997, about September time. Actually, September time.
yeah.
Probably the 6th of September.
Right, I think I know where we're going on this one.
And I would gate crash your wedding
Oh, nice.
because I wasn't invited.
You were there in a twinkle of my eye, but no, you weren't. You weren't about. Why
Yeah.
would you want to go to the wedding of your
Because
mum and dad?
people always talk about your wedding.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, not always, but sometimes they talk about your wedding. There's
Yeah.
also other conversations we have as well, and you talk about it as well.
yeah.
But I wasn't there, so I don't have a clue. You talk about Becky trying to pull your trousers down, and
That sounds far worse than it was. Becky ran up and was tugging at my trousers to talk to me because she had no idea of what was going on, so she didn't feel that it was a problem walking up when we were trying to exchange our
vows,
vows and
trying to
come
pants
up,
you.
yeah, to try and yeah,
Yeah,
a big comedy moment.
and then she
where you'd
peanutted your tie.
So is that honestly something you'd like to have been involved in then?
I would like to go back and have watched it,
Yeah,
gone back and
I've got a
seen it.
video somewhere if you want to watch
Yeah,
it.
but I'll be honest, it's a bit. But I'd rather go back and be there.
We could Photoshop you into some of the photos if you
Yeah,
like.
I'm already planning on doing that.
Yeah?
Yep.
Would that make you feel better?
Well, if I'm honest, you seem to be very defensive of the fact, like, you don't want me at your wedding.
Well, it just seems a strange one. I mean, let's get this straight then. Would you be an observer? It sounds like you want to be part of the actual celebration.
Well, no,
which you
I-
would have been if you'd have been alive.
I can't really be part of the celebration because you wouldn't really know me.
So you'd have to be sort of a little bit disguised and say, "Oh yeah, I'm a friend of so and so," and then we'll go, "Okay," and you're sitting at one of the tables and you're just observing the whole situation.
Yeah.
Creepy. no,
I'd be your best man.
yeah, you could be really, yeah, but
I'd
yeah.
have to do a bit of work beforehand and get to know you beforehand, though, wouldn't I?
Yeah, you would have. You're talking about multiple journeys back in time just to gather all the information and get yourself in a position so that you could. Is this where this? So you wanted to be my best man. So you need to go back.
You know what? Might be the easier option. One day, if you renew your vows
Yeah.
and you need a best man,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Okay, you're on.
Yep.
If we do that, you've got it.
All right, I got the job.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm hired. How much
Okay.
is the pay?
And there's no pay.
All right.
Sort of thing of Chris, something like that.
Excellent. All Monster Munch.
I'd like to go back.
I haven't asked you. Can I hang on 1 second? So, Dad, how about you? What would you like to do?
Well, I'd like to go back in time to, and we've talked about this already, but to the time of the dinosaurs.
Oh yes, which one?
Any of the dinosaurs.
All right, it's a very long period.
I know it is. It's like sort of 66 million years ago or whatever.
The 60s.
Yeah, and it ranged from, but you know, I would like to. I'd probably hop in and out. You said about that TV program, you know, and it was to hop in and out of the Jurassic period and the Cretaceous period and this, that, and the other, just to see all of the different animals, sauropods and things like that. You know, it would be incredible. I love animals, and I love you see some animals and it kind of sort of blows you away, you know, the size of them or just how beautiful they are or whatever. And I think I'd like to see actually what the colours were like, what they actually look like, because I mean they've over the years they've sort of got an idea. They obviously know the bone structure of them, but they don't really know a huge amount more. They've talked about now more feathers on a lot of the sort of raptor ones.
Yeah, not quite as scary a feathery T-Rex, is it?
But they always say about the colour. No, they don't really know what colours they were. They presume they were certain colours. And, you know, if you watch anything that the likes of Jurassic Park, they've had to fill in a lot of gaps with it. So I'd really like to see what it was like.
Frog DNA.
With frog DNA, yeah, which is not good, is it? I mean, obviously, it would be quite a dangerous place to go back to.
To be fair, if you do compare things like that, where they're a bit like reptiles, a bit like birds, bit like amphibians and stuff like that, because they're what you would possibly most compare dinosaurs to. They are often all different colours, so it would make sense for you to imagine them to be, I don't know,
well
like maybe when they're trying to mate and stuff like that, be like birds of paradise, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no. So that's something I'd be really interested in, and the seas as well, because I'm fascinated with the prehistoric animals, both aquatic and land.
Yeah. Similarly, I think I would quite like to go to the Ice Age type periods.
Yeah.
And see what kind of, because even that period there's a lot of very similar yet different animals around that time.
You were talking about mammoths. I mean,
woolly mammoths, woolly rhinoceroses, saber-toothed tigers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sloths.
Yeah.
All the cast of Ice Age.
Yeah, I was going to say you seem to just be going through those. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Next place I'd go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this time I'm going into the future.
Oh.
And I'm going to the future when humans have developed gills again and we've started to create underwater cities.
Do you think that's what's going to happen then?
Well, I think a section of humans will.
But surely we have evolved from having gills.
Yes.
We came out of the water and onto land. So is that devolving?
Yeah. It's a bit of devolution.
Yeah.
However, it can happen. And if there are people already in the world that spend a lot of their time in the water and at sea. Now, if one of these people happen to develop gills or something like that, just by random evolution, as long as they weren't killed for being weird beforehand, or they didn't suffocate on land when they were born, there's a good chance that they would then thrive in the underwater world, and then it goes onwards from there.
So do you think, I mean, they talk about the world, the earth flooding.
I mean, I don't know why, sorry, I'm saying it like it's not going to happen. I've got my time machine, I've checked.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You've been there and you found out. It does seem like there's your the main basis of this trip is based on this particular evolution or devolution happening. Because if you went that far into the future, where you thought it was going to happen, and we're still just walking around like on
Maybe
land,
not.
Well, be very disappointed.
And water. Like Gungans.
Yeah.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? Having like a Gungan like city.
Yeah.
Where you walk out for a pod and you're completely dry.
Okay, all right, yeah. There's a lot of things that need to be invented or...
Not invented.
Well...
Yeah. It could be that it's not necessarily gills. It could be another form of extracting oxygen from the water.
Okay. Well, might need to, the way we're going with the Earth, because it'll all be flooded and we'll all have to...
Not all underwater creatures have gills, do they?
Do they not?
No?
What? Not all underwater creatures have to breathe.
No, not all of them have gills.
Yeah. So, for the what ones, for instance, don't have gills?
Well, coral, for one.
Yeah, but they don't need oxygen to breathe, do they? They don't need to breathe. A coral doesn't breathe. It might need oxygen to.
Crab?
Does a crab need to breathe?
Yep.
You don't know. You're just making this up.
Lobster?
Lobster. Well, you're talking
Shrimp?
about. Okay,
don't know
yeah,
if
you're
shrimp
talking about
have
all
gills.
these ones that.
I don't know what crustaceans have gills. How about an enemy?
No, well,
Jellyfish.
Again, yeah, well, again, you're talking about a particular. I don't know that they need oxygen. do they?
Dolphins.
Well, dolphins do, don't they?
Dolphins what?
Well, dolphins are mammals for a
Yeah.
start, so that they have to
Breathe.
breathe.
Yeah.
So they come up and out. They
Yeah.
can't stay underwater all that time.
Well, maybe we just developed that we can stand turtles.
I'm not as good a swimmer as a dolphin, but I can go in the water and then come up and breathe. That's nothing remarkable about that, is it?
Turtles?
Turtles. Turtles need to breathe as well, don't they?
Yeah. But they can last a long time underwater.
Yeah. I still don't know quite where this is going, but
Spending a long time underwater, enough to be able to build an underwater city.
okay. All right, Mike. Okay,
Because I heard it in a Busted song.
Oh right, 3000, the year 3000.
Yeah. Because not much has changed, but they live underwater.
They do. And your great granddaughter. That's a terrible bit in that.
She's pretty fine.
Yeah, that's not right, is it? Saying that to someone.
Well, no, because your great granddaughter, I think, doesn't quite add up to the right number of greats.
No. I should have really looked at that. Anyway,
Yep.
another one.
It's
And
a
this
good
is
song,
going to be. I would like.
Michael Jackson as well mentioned that song.
Okay. And this is by no means trying to kill the mood, but I think I would like to go back in time to spend some time with my father.
Oh, I'd like to do that too.
Yeah. And I would like to spend, even if it was just a day, and chat to him, because I was in my late 20s when my dad died. And although I talked to him about all sorts of things, I hadn't had any. Oh, well, I had. I'd got together with your mum, and there was Annie and Becky. So he, but I
Let's talk
hadn't-
about me.
Even then, I hadn't talked to him about them, and I hadn't talked to him about what it was like to be a dad, and I haven't talked to him about things that really only started to happen to me as I would become. I think the perception is you're an adult when you're in your 20s. You're not really an adult.
No.
And I think people are different. People are different anyway. But I think once I went into my 30s, that was when things started. But by that time, he wasn't there to talk to, and we weren't. We'd have discussions and that. But I'd love to go back and talk to him about everything
That's
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah,
Like you
even
going-
though I couldn't.
Oh yeah, that girl I was seeing, I married her because you were engaged when he was still
Yeah,
around.
it was the same year we got married, but it was.
We
yeah.
got married.
So
We got married. We had a kid.
These
We had
are
a
the
boy.
photos of the wedding. Connor's not in them.
No, he
He'd
wasn't
like to be in
invited.
them. Look,
Oh, no, wait, actually,
there's
that's him in the
Connor.
background.
There's Connor. He's just superimposed himself in all these photos. Yeah, he's a bit weird. Yeah, no,
your
I would love.
Dad would
yeah.
love me.
But I would
Very
love to
similar
do that,
interests.
and that might sound a bit, because you see all these things. What would you, who would you see from that? But it's something that I think I always regret that I hadn't had an opportunity to sit down and talk about and ask him about how he felt about being a dad, as do I feeling about being a dad, and how he, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I know what you mean.
it was a
We've spoken about similar things.
yeah. So
And what's nice is we've got it all recorded
but
as well.
we have had those discussions. We have those discussions. I'd like to have had the discussions that I've had with you.
Similar
with him.
to our Father's Day episode,
Yeah.
and I know it sounds ridiculous just link back to another episode, but the discussions that we had in that episode were actually somewhat what I imagined to have asked your dad.
So that I definitely want to do that. I'd definitely like to go back and tell him that West Ham aren't as useless that they used to be. You know, that we still haven't won a major competition with England. That but we are quite good at athletics now. You know, all these things. There's been Wimbledon champions. You know, it'd be good.
US Open as well.
US Open, yeah.
So the last time that I would like to go to, I think, just out of interest, I'd quite like to see the Roman Empire in its kind of
Pomp. Prime,
yeah. I thought you were trying to say Pompeii then, but...
No, although that was one of the ones I did consider.
Yeah, going to see Pompeii before everything happened.
Yeah. But, right, so something from history, sort of, particularly to see... Yeah, see, I'm fascinated, but there's some quite dangerous things. It would be quite good to go back into history.
To see it, I said not experience it, please.
Yeah, but to see if it's actually how it's recorded.
Yeah.
Because, you know, all things like I'm quite interested in... recently I've been looking at a lot of stuff with Henry VIII.
It always depends on who you ask as well, doesn't it? From the perspective the historian's on.
Yeah. But yeah, well, you know, quite often it's distorted in the way it's been reported. But
nice,
do you like that?
Nice rhyme.
But you know, you'd think, did it actually happen like that? Was it actually like that?
Well, yeah, it's even the sense you go, the British Empire was this amazing thing that blah, 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 this happened. A lot of it was built on slavery. When you look back on it,
Yes, absolutely.
but it'd be interesting to I'm not saying about going and look back at slavery,
Yeah.
because but going and experiencing, just seeing what was happening and how people were feeling, and
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's
watch
huge...
Jesus being born.
Watch him being born, right?
Yeah, I might go follow the star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Right, one final quick one then.
Yep.
I'd say 20 years into the future.
Yep.
And literally 20 years into the future to see...
What to the day? If
to
we're still doing
see
this podcast.
What was happening. What was happening with our family. What was happening with you. Whether you were married with umpteen kids by then. Whether I'm a grandfather 10 times over. Whether, you know, whether I've started growing my hair again.
I'd be scared to go into the future.
What, in case you suddenly realise you're not there?
No, well, not necessarily just that. It's just like to go see myself in the future. I'd be concerned, because what if things aren't how I want them to be now? And that's not to say they're not how I want them to be in the future, but if I'm not how I want them to be now.
All right, okay. So that's fair enough. But that's, I guess, that I'd want to think it'd be a real comfort if you went into the future and you saw everything was really good. That'd be a real comfort. But if you went into the future, you're absolutely right. You got there and everything was right up what's name?
Well,
Creek.
maybe it gives you an opportunity to change it though.
Yeah, but should you?
Yeah.
Okay.
TVA taught me that you can't keep everything on the same
Who
path.
did?
TVA.
Who's TVA?
From Loki. The time variation authority, isn't it?
I don't know. I can't remember. Seems a long while ago I watched it.
You didn't finish it, did you?
No.
Oh.
Okay. So there you go. There's just a few examples. There were so many places I'd like to have gone. And then I started thinking, actually, these are just holiday destinations. I could still go to them anyway. So, but, you know, or places around the world that are not easy to get to, but more like that, and less like actually places in time.
Yeah. Right.
So, thank you for that opportunity.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think it's time to kind of wrap up the conversation around time travel, but just one more quick bit of time travel I want to do. I want to travel back to our last week's podcast, if that's okay.
Okay.
Because I noticed something come from the inbox.
Never.
Our email inbox. So we've had a message this week.
Blimey. People do listen to these.
I know. in relation to last week's episode.
Right, okay, go for it.
Right. So this is about our running episode. So if anyone didn't listen to it, that was episode 33, and we spoke about running.
Yep.
We spoke about it a bit at the beginning of the podcast as well, because Dad's marathon, we spoke about it like that. So this one is from Andrew.
Okay.
You might know him as Uncle Andrew.
No, I don't.
I do. He's my uncle.
Yeah. He's not my uncle.
No.
Okay.
Was he to you?
Well, he's my brother-in-law.
He is.
Right, go on then.
So, you haven't read it, so I've given you just of what happens, but I'm going to read it to you in full now.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to get into character.
Wow.
I'm going to get into character,
This is a
but
bit risky.
I'm not going to try and do his voice or
I was
anything like
gonna
that.
say,
I'm not going
you
to try
know.
and offend him. I now can't stop thinking about trying to... No.
No, don't
Right,
do
ready?
it.
Ready?
Yep.
Subject's running.
Yep.
What's all this then? You were running a marathon in Brighton, and the first I hear about it was when I'm out for a walk at about the time the race is still on. If I had known, I could have gone down to cheer you on from the industrial estate. It would have been fun to go filtering past all the traffic jams on my motorbike. I would like to register this as an official complaint to the management. He's unhappy,
Oh, right.
so he wants to go see you.
Yeah, well, you know, all I can say is it's not my fault. It's his sister's, because his sister could have told him.
In
fact,
fairness,
when we
Mum was there.
drove down there, we drove past where Andrew lives, and Mary said, "Really? Oh, we're so near to them. We could have seen them, but you know, obviously we had to get down there and do this, that, and the other."
Yeah.
I'd never really presumed to think people would want to do that, but you know,
Maybe we'll consider it for next time.
I'm doing a race over in sort of the Roach Valley sort of area on Sunday, Andrew, and if you're free,
You'll travel all the way
it's
to Roach
around
Valley.
about, I think, lunchtime for about 5.5 around Canewdon sort of area to the Punch Bowl, which is not there anymore, so you won't even be able to get a drink. So if you're free, great, I'd love to see you.
All right.
All right.
What day is this?
This is when this goes out.
This is when this goes out. So once he's
If
listening
he
to this,
gets on his motorbike, if he listens to this early enough and gets on his motorbike, he could be
so
over there in
we
time.
release this at 5 a.m. So as long as he listens to it at 5 a.m.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. There you go, Andrew. But he's continued on from there.
All right,
He
okay.
said, on a more positive note, your comments about runderwear have inspired me to launch my own brand of sexy undercrackers for long distance runners.
Sexy undercrackers,
Yeah.
lovely.
They would be called marathons. So far, all I have is the name, but I think that is enough and good enough
Yep.
to get some interest from venture capitalists. Oh, sorry, I messed up the punctuation there. I'm so sorry.
Yep.
And good enough to get some interest from venture capitalists. I'm expecting a major hedge fund or one of TV's dragons to get in touch any day now, waving wads of tenors under my nose.
Right. Right. So, I'm presuming a marathon is another item of underwear to be worn when you're doing a marathon.
Yep.
Right. Now,
Are you concerned about chafing?
I'm concerned about digesting them. Because there's one thing, the one thing that you don't want when you're running is your underwear disappearing where it shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I do worry that a thong would, one, not hold everything where it needs to be for 26.2 miles or 26.8 miles, depending on whether you're running in Brighton or somewhere else that does a proper marathon, right? But yeah, it could cause all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
So, you know, yes, I'm on board, but I'd have to see some sort of prototype or have it seen it test out to its fullest before I'm willing to.
I'm not sure I want to see it tested out either.
Oh no, maybe not. Just the results. Perhaps you can
All
just
right.
send the figures to me, and then we can go from there.
Well-
Although I do believe over in Australia they have marathons, don't they? But they
Well-
are probably flip flops.
Well,
Because that's what they call them, don't they?
Well, the reason why you said, I think they've got marathons, is because his next bit on the message is, unfortunately, somebody in Australia has already
Oh,
registered.
no, I thought you told me that.
No, I told you because of the message.
Oh, right, okay.
Unfortunately, somebody in Australia had already registered the marathons.com domain name, but it looks like the .co.uk address is still available. Come to think of it, I bet the .com has been snapped up by those idiots from that podcast I sent the link to. I tried listening to it myself, but found it unlistenable, even though I'm a huge fan of Alice Fraser. Maybe it's just an Aussie thing, and you have to be a proper ocker to make any sense of it. A bit like Hey Hey It's Saturday, which everyone was raving about when I was there. But when I tried to watch it, I was bored stiff for 3 whole hours. Anyway, keep up the good work, and I'll see you in October. Totsy ends.
Good stuff. It'd be good to see him
Andrew.
as well. Andrew.
He does put his name, but I'm not going to read it.
Okay. No, that's excellent.
Although it does have a blog.
Yeah.
Um,
I must admit, I've been giving it a lot of thought over the last few days about what could be invented to make the experience of running more pleasurable. So in the next few weeks, I might sort of announce some ideas.
I'm going to fire through a couple because I've actually just had another email through whilst we're speaking.
All right, who from?
I'll get into that in a second because there's another one from Andrew here.
Oh.
It says, P.S. an afterthought. If you want to add Father and Sunday's marathons to the merch store, that can be arranged. Just talk to my agent.
Oh.
Now, I had a look into that,
Yeah.
Andrew, and with the producer we use for any merchandise, we can make boxer briefs, but there's no option for thongs. However, we can make flip-flops. So if we get in a deal with the Australian guys, we might be able to make...
So, yeah, meet in the middle. Oh, no,
Marathons.
that's the wrong thing to say with a thong, isn't it? Meet in the middle.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's endless possibilities. We talked about the fact that you can get Speedos and bikinis and things like that with our faces on the cups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Is there another one?
there is another one. There's another email that's come through like literally moments ago. Now, I'm going to say the person has name put Anonymous H, but I can see their email address, so I know exactly who it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to read the email address. I'm not going to say who it is.
Okay.
Now, the actual subject is called Stop Picking on Father, Fact Check. Now, I get the feeling it's going to be a complaint.
All right.
Hello. During your recent episode titled Running, Son picks up on the fact that Father mispronounces the word anything. Son interrupts Father mid-sentence to say the word anything doesn't have a K in it. However, I am writing this complaint because Son shouldn't correct Father if he then goes on to mispronounce the word himself by placing an F in anything. As evidence, 1 minute and 11 seconds into the podcast, Son pronounces anything after he picks Father up for saying anything. So, Son, if you're going to interrupt people and correct them, at least get it right. Winky face. It's anything, not anything.
Well, I am absolutely...
Yours sincerely, Anonymous.
I am absolutely delighted.
I think
with
she
that.
misheard me. I said anything.
She.
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry.
absolutely
I think they misheard me.
delighted that people have realised what I have to go through on a
And can I
weekly
also just-
basis.
She's put fact check, but that was nothing to do with the fact check.
I don't know what it was. I
Or
do
they,
remember. I do
not
remember. It was
necessarily
almost. And did you say how long into the podcast it was? Like 1 minute or
1
something?
minute, 11 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, see, I wasn't going to mention it, but straight away he said anything, and I was thinking that really irritates me when someone puts a K at the end of that word, and I had to mention it.
Okay.
But I do think, because we are cutting it pretty fine now,
Yeah.
that should wrap it up for this week's episode.
Yeah. Okay.
Why are you pulling that face?
Because we need to talk about that. We'll have to talk about it again another time. You've just cut me off because we've just
what do
had
you mean
this,
cut you off?
this stunning revelation that people are behind Father. Right.
Well, I wonder
So,
who it is that sent it.
Yeah, I wonder. Well, an anonymous person.
Right.
It wasn't
Anonymous
me.
H.
It wasn't me.
No, I know it wasn't you.
Oh, right, okay.
I
All
know
right.
who it is.
Let's wrap up then.
Anyway.
Wrap up with a WR, an A, and a 2 Ps.
Right, anyway. So, anyway, thank you very much for listening this week. If you do want to leave a message like one of those two guys there,
Yeah.
you can do so on our website, fatherandsundays.com. Just go to the contact page and you can leave any kind of message. You can leave a complaint, comment,
Yeah.
question, suggestion,
Yeah,
whatever you
definitely.
want.
Excellent. We love it.
On the website as well, you've got our merch page, we just mentioned as well. our shop. You can buy things. It helps support the podcast, helps keep us going if you're able to do so. But we've also got all the episodes on there. We've got blog posts on there as well. Remember, fatherandsundays.com. Nice and simple.
Yep.
As well. We've got all our all our social medias: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Remember to like us and follow us on those. You can add comments on those as well. Our podcast is available on pretty much any platform you choose.
Yep.
So you can listen on any of those, but you can also leave reviews on some of those as well. So if you want to do that, that'd be perfect.
Brilliant.
But I think that is about it for what I
That is
wanted to
about
mention
it.
at the end. Anything you really want to mention?
No, not at all, really. I think that's all done and dusted. I'm going to walk out of this particular recording with a smile on my face.
All right. Anyway, thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks.
And we'll see you again next week then.
See you next week.